The Vietnamese were surprised by the SEALs' ability to blend in with their surroundings. The jungle-dwelling guerrillas feared the SEALs as the ghosts that walk at night and the men with green faces. Navy SEAL teams were some of the most decorated units to serve in Vietnam. 3 Medals of Honor, 4 Navy Crosses, and numerous silver and bronze stars were awarded for their valor. After Vietnam, the training aspect of the SEALs mission took the forefront. They served as advisors for Central American governments trying to deal with communist-led insurgencies. The SEAL teams trained foreign naval special warfare units to counter the covert subversion of their countries. A SEAL officer was assassinated by agents of the communist-backed guerrilla forces during this period of low-intensity conflicts. In October of 1983, a SEAL detachment was en route to Lebanon as part of the United States' response to the bombing of the Marine barracks there when it was diverted to Grenada. The turbulent waters of this small Caribbean island would claim the lives of several SEAL team members. Navy SEALs were chosen to spearhead the Grenada mission, dubbed Operation Urgent Fury. They were to undertake 4 separate actions. The Pearls Airport reconnaissance represented the first U.S. military presence of the Grenada invasion. Information concerning runway conditions, heavy weapons positions, and troop concentrations was gathered and relayed to the Marine invasion force waiting offshore. This information led to a major restructuring of the assault. The planned amphibious landing was scrubbed because of rough and plunging surf. The runway obstructions detected at the Pearls Airport necessitated a new landing site for the helicopter-borne attack force. The destruction of the radio-free Grenada transmitter is a powerful example of how a small group of Navy SEALs can save the lives of hundreds of troops and civilians. A handful of SEALs crept ashore undetected to silence the Cuban-installed radio facility.
United States paratroopers have invaded Grenada with helicopter gunships. All Grenadians report immediately to our respective militia bases.
Disabling this communications link prevented 7 enemy militia battalions from entering the battle, limiting the resistance of the enemy. The British Governor-General of Grenada, Sir Paul Scone, and his wife were the 3rd objective of the SEAL mission. He was surrounded in the government house by troops of the PRA, or the People's Revolutionary Army. The situation called for the skills of SEAL Team 6, the Navy's crack hostage release operators. Well before dawn, this team used a technique known as fast roping to descend from helicopters and enter the encircled mansion. 22 SEALs held out for the next 36 hours as they engaged the converging enemy units in a continuous firefight. The SEALs directed AC-130 Spectre gunships against heavy-caliber machine gun positions and armored personnel carriers that had entered the grounds of the government house. On October 26th, the governor, his wife, and staff were successfully evacuated. The time-sensitive nature of Operation Urgent Fury caused 4 SEALs to make the supreme sacrifice in the pre-dawn hours before the invasion. During this 4th part of the Grenada mission, which remains highly classified, a night parachute drop in heavy seas was the last action of 4 brave men. Shocking news awakened Americans on December 20th, 1989. The U.S. Armed Forces of Operation Just Cause had invaded Panama overnight. This Central American country was under control of maximum leader Manuel Noriega, a military dictator and suspected drug trafficker. This tyrant's verbal attacks on the United States culminated with his declaration of war against the superpower. Noriega's troops murdered an American officer. This and other actions against American citizens caused President Bush to launch the invasion and ensure the safety of those living in the Panama Canal Zone. A high priority of the action in Panama was the capture of Manuel Noriega. The special skills of the sea, air, and land teams were instrumental in ensuring that objective. The SEALs launched a night underwater attack against the President Porras, a 65-foot patrol boat belonging to the Panamanian Defense Forces. This boat, with a top speed of 21 knots, offered an escape route for Noriega. It had to be disabled. Using oxygen rebreathers, sophisticated scuba gear that prevents detection by surface bubbles, two teams of SEALs swam to the pier where the boat was moored. They placed their charges and regrouped beneath a nearby pier. As the silent swimmers watched from a safe distance, the Panamanian crew was alerted by the sounds of the invasion ashore and took the usual precautions against underwater attack. The President Porras' engines roared to life, and the slashing propellers began to turn. Hand grenades were dropped over the side, which could have caused deadly concussions. The sailors' efforts were all in vain. Their leader would not escape on the President Porras. The SEALs' work was done. The charges detonated, crippling the boat at the pier. When the four combat swimmers rendezvoused at the pickup boats, each had used 3 hours and 20 minutes of his 4-hour oxygen supply. Timing, skill, and stealth had resulted in a successful mission. The two SEAL platoons assigned to disable Noriega's personal jet were not as fortunate. The vulnerable airport had been reinforced by enemy troops and armored personnel carriers. After coming ashore, the SEALs were under heavy gunfire and hampered by the open terrain of the airfield. Team members directed the precision fire of an AC-130 Spectre gunship to keep the enemy at bay, while others crippled the jet and overcame the numerically superior enemy force. Noriega's air escape route was closed at high cost to the United States. 4 Navy SEALs were killed and 8 were wounded. When Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait on August 2, 1990, he provided the Navy SEALs with new challenges and new missions. The American embassy in Kuwait City was extremely vulnerable as the coming conflict drew near. President Bush's decision to keep the beachside compound open required U.S. military planners to prepare for any eventuality. Navy SEALs were ordered to develop plans for several contingencies. 2 scenarios of those provided for seemed most likely to occur. If the Iraqis overran the embassy grounds and held the staff hostage, SEALs were prepared to sneak ashore and liberate them. An extension of that mission would involve the SEALs taking the compound back from the enemy forces. Perhaps the most gripping images the American people will remember about the war in the Gulf came from gun cameras of Allied aircraft as they surgically destroyed Iraqi targets. Many of these smart bombs are guided to the target by a man on the ground. Navy SEALs crept ashore in Kuwait City with laser target designators to pinpoint strategic targets for the attack bombers. The precision bombing campaign that was so successful minimized collateral damage to a degree never thought possible. This resulted in the savings of thousands of civilian lives. Allied pilots flying bombing raids encountered some of the heaviest anti-aircraft artillery in history. Air crews had some comfort knowing that Navy SEALs were poised to conduct combat search and rescue missions to recover downed personnel. While the SEALs were integral in the high-tech aspects of the Gulf War, they were also performing the missions they've always done so well. The first Iraqi prisoners taken during the war were captured by Navy SEALs. Before the ground war began, a small unit of SEALs beached on a small island near Kuwait City. The element of surprise, a favorite tactic of the SEALs, enabled them to liberate the island. The Iraqi defenders, who were caught completely off guard by the camo-clad SEALs, suffered 3 killed, 29 captured.